So this is a data analysis question where we're going to be asked to look at a graph and extract some data from it. So here's our graph, and it's a graph showing us how the percentage of energy gained from fats or carbohydrate changes as we change the intensity of exercise. We have very intense exercise at this end and very easy exercise at that end. We have two lines, our carbohydrate line, which is the solid one, and our hatched line showing us fats. And the question is going to ask us in a fairly straightforward way to describe how the source of energy used depends on the intensity of the exercise. And there are 3 marks available, which means we need to make 3 clear and distinct points. So we just grab the graph again and bring this over so we can examine it. What can we say about this graph? What jumps out to us in terms of comments we can make? Well, really obviously what we could say is that as we increase the intensity of exercise, we increase the percentage of carbohydrate being used. That's fairly obvious because this line is going up and increasing. Equally, we could say that as the intensity of the exercise increases, the percentage of fat decreases because we can see this line is going down here. So either of those two would be reasonable statements to make, and that would get us 1 mark on this, which that N over there, make that a little bit smaller. Is there anything else we could say? Well, yep, we could say at low intensity, more fats are used, or below 40, more fats are being used than carbohydrates. The line for fats is higher than the line for carbohydrates, so we can say that more fats are being used. Or we could say above 40, more carbohydrates being used and less fats being used. So there's more carbohydrate being used and less fat above 40. So that's the second comment we could potentially make. I'll just pop this down here. What else could we say? Well, there's a crossover point in the middle where both sources of energy are being used equally, 50% from fats, 50% from carbohydrates. So at 40 or 39 we could say that both sources of energy are being used equally. And there's one last mark we could use, and that's for a correct manipulation of the figures. If I just drag these off to one side over here, what do I mean by manipulation of figures? Well, there's no right or answer to this, but we could pick, say, at 80 arbitrary units, I could say that carbohydrates are 4 times as many as the amount of fats being used. Or I could pick 60, or I could pick 20, anywhere along there, and work out the percentage difference, or I could work out how many more times one is than the other. And that's how you would get the 3 marks available.